Am I the a-hole for slapping my mother-in-law across the face? Final update. I, 29F, have been married to my husband, Jake, 31M, for 3 years, and his mother, Susan, 55F, has been a constant thorn in my side since day one. From the moment I entered the picture, she made it her mission to belittle me, undermine me, and make me feel unwelcome. She constantly criticized my job, my appearance, and even the way I cooked. When Jake and I got engaged, she told me to my face that she wished he was marrying his ex-girlfriend instead. At our wedding, she wore a floor-length white gown and loudly declared that she was the most important woman in Jake's life. Still, I tried to keep the peace. I bit my tongue. I smiled through gritted teeth. But last week, she finally pushed me too far. The incident. Jake and I recently bought our first home together, a beautiful little house that we had been saving for over 5 years. We invited his family over for a small housewarming party, and within minutes of arriving, Susan started nitpicking. "This place is quaint. I suppose it's fine for now." "You didn't really pay that much for this, did you?" "I hope my future grandchildren don't have to grow up in such a small house." I ignored her, but then she did something unforgivable. While I was in the kitchen preparing food, I heard a loud crash. I rushed back into the living room to find Susan standing over my wedding photo, which had been shattered on the floor. "Oh," she said, feigning innocence, "it just slipped from my hands." I was frozen, my heart was pounding. But then, she smirked. That's when I snapped. I slapped her across the face. The room fell silent. My father-in-law gasped. My sister-in-law's eyes went wide. Jake immediately jumped between us, shouting my name. Susan clutched her cheek, completely stunned. "How dare you?" she shrieked. "You're just proving you're an unhinged little girl who doesn't deserve my son." I turned to Jake. He was looking at me like I was a stranger. I stormed out of the house and stayed at my friend's place that night. When I woke up, my phone was blowing up with messages. Update number 1, the aftermath. Jake was furious. He told me that no matter what his mother did, violence was never the answer. He said I humiliated him in front of his family and that I needed to apologize. Apologize? I told him I wouldn't apologize to someone who had been emotionally tormenting me for years. His response: "Then I don't know if I can stay married to you." That hit me like a freight train, but what hurt the most? Jake moved in with his parents. Susan played the victim perfectly. She told everyone I was dangerous and that she was genuinely afraid of what I might do next. My own mother even asked me if I might have gone too far. At this point, I was questioning myself. Was I wrong? Had I actually gone too far? But then, I got a message from my sister-in-law, Jake's brother's wife. She told me she'd been in the exact same position. She used to be the perfect, quiet daughter-in-law until Susan ruined her marriage too. She told me Jake was never going to stand up for me. He never had, and he never would. I knew, deep down, she was right. Update number 2, divorce and the final straw. A week after the incident, I made my decision. I called Jake and told him that if he couldn't stand up for me, his own wife, then I didn't see a future for us. His response? Silence. That silence told me everything I needed to know. I contacted a lawyer the next day. I told Jake I wanted a divorce. When Susan found out, she was thrilled. She threw herself a little celebration dinner, claiming she had saved her son from a life of misery. Jake! He didn't fight for our marriage. He didn't even try. But here's the funny part. A month after I filed for divorce, Susan called me. She was sobbing. Turns out Jake moved out of their house and got his own place because he couldn't stand living with her anymore. He told her he needed space. Apparently he's been distant and cold ever since I left. She begged me to reconsider, saying I was the only one who ever really loved him and that he was a mess without me. I laughed. I actually laughed. I told her, "You won, Susan. Enjoy your victory," and I hung up. Final thoughts. I won't lie, this whole situation broke me for a while, but looking back, leaving was the best decision I ever made. I learned an important lesson. If someone truly loves you, they will stand up for you. If they don't, they never really loved you at all. And as for Susan, well, I heard through the grapevine that Jake has completely cut contact with her. Guess karma really does work in mysterious ways.